There is a little darkness in us all, but when you're a hero, the fall from grace can be so much more spectacular and murderous. I'm Sasha Wood, and let's take a look at the top 10 heroes who became villains. So let's start off by saying this. These things often get retconned or undone, so don't be disappointed if these people don't stay evil, cause that almost never happens. Number 10. Spider-Man during the symbiote costume arc. Spider-Man got his cool new suit during the very successful Secret Wars arc, run by Marvel in the 80s. In fact, this costume was actually submitted by a fan, Randy Schuler. But why did it turn him evil? Well, fan backlash. Fans hated the black suit because, well, fans hate all change. Despite this, nowadays it has become one of the more beloved costumes, but at the time, So in order to appease fans and find a way to get rid of this costume, it was revealed to be a symbiote that was altering Peter's biochemistry, trying to permanently bond with him, and causing him to fight crime even while asleep. Over time and retcons, the symbiote darkened Peter more and more, making him rougher and more violent. With it being heavily implied it would permanently change Peter for the worse. However, Spidey gets it off in every version before that happens, so that's why it only makes it in at number 10. Number 9. Raven, aka Evil Raven. The darkness inside Raven, planted there by her father Trigon, was always a part of her character, as she was in constant battle with it, having to suppress her emotions to keep her powers in check. However, Raven was seemingly possessed by her evil consciousness, which not only interrupts Nightwing and Starfire's wedding, but attempts to implant the seed of Trigon into new bodies. This led to a battle between her evil self and her good self, who was implanted in Starfire. It was complicated. Raven's struggle between her good and evil halves is part of her character. That wasn't even the first time she had succumbed to the bad half, which is why she is so low on this list, since when she turns evil, it's not exactly a surprise. One character people didn't expect this from at number 8. Sue Storm, who becomes Malice. Malice was the dark manifestation of the trauma already present in the, at the time, Invisible Girl's psyche, brought to the forefront by the Psycho Man following the stillbirth of her second child. This unlocked rage, allowing Sue to access levels of her powers that had previously been unseen, and of course gave her a far skimpier evil costume, because of course it did. She then went off and attacked her friends and family. She was freed of this manipulation by her husband, Reed Richards, because he made her hate him for real, which, knowing Reed, probably wasn't very hard. Seriously, years of neglect. This incident led to Sue changing her superhero name from the Invisible Girl to the Invisible Woman, and it actually became a significant period of growth for her character. Someone else opening up new narrative opportunities at number 7. Jason Todd, aka Red Hood. The second Robin's death arguably traumatized Batman less than his former protege's violent return to life, which left him unbalanced and furious that the Joker was still alive and well. Jason takes on the persona of the Red Hood, an ironic choice given the Joker's potential backstory. Todd becomes a vigilante with no qualms about using guns and killing, pretty much doing everything to be as defiant to Batman as possible. Jason became so unhinged he was briefly thrown into Arkham, but over time his level of mania has been toned down and he's become much more of an anti-hero. With the killing really dwindling and at points even vanishing, writers don't seem to really know what to do with Todd now. But hopefully he'll have a cool arc again soon. Number 6. Professor Xavier as Onslaught. Okay, so Onslaught isn't just Professor X. No, it's the fusion of the consciousness of Xavier and Magneto. This occurred after Xavier used his powers to shut down Magneto's mind, which rendered him catatonic. However, it was revealed that the darker parts of Magneto leached into Xavier's mind and bonded with the already dark parts present therein, creating a whole new persona. Onslaught was initially able to operate independently of Xavier's body, but eventually took possession of it. He then launched a plan that involved the Fantastic Four's son Franklin, and was seemingly destroyed by falling into an energy field. People's mileage really varies in terms of how they take this storyline. Some people really like it, others really hate it. It's pretty out there, but hey, it's comics. Number 5. Warren Worthington, aka Archangel, formerly Angel. Angel was one of the 5 founding members of the X-Men. However, during the Arc Mutant Massacre, he was brutally injured, impaled through his wings in such a manner that ultimately they had to be amputated. A despondent Warren is taken by Apocalypse, who promises him new wings if he'll become one of his 4 horsemen. He agrees, but this results in extensive genetic manipulation which changes his appearance and also renders him even more emotionally unstable. During this process, he is granted new metal wings. Warren becomes Death, the leader of the 4 horsemen, bolstered bolstered by a drug compound that allows him to operate without remorse. He is shaken free of Apocalypse's control after he thinks he has killed his former friend and teammate Iceman. However, although freed, the damage was done. Warren was no longer the same man, and he felt he no longer deserved to be a hero. While he ultimately did return to being a hero, these feelings never fully left him, and he works hard to keep his dark persona repressed. Another member of the X-Men at number 4, Jean Grey, aka the Dark Phoenix. Following her death and subsequent resurrection as the Phoenix, which occurred during the critically acclaimed relaunch of the X-Men in the 1970s, Grey went from being the weakest member of the team to the most powerful. However, her new powers were unwieldy and difficult to contain. During this time, the Hellfire Club attempted to manipulate her into becoming their Dark Black Queen. However, their attempts failed, and in the process her mind fully broke and she became the Dark Phoenix. The Dark Phoenix was a dangerous force who ended up destroying an entire solar system, killing billions. The Dark Phoenix ultimately killed herself to keep the universe safe. However, as we all know, Jean didn't stay dead. No, it was retconned that Jean never did any of those things. Instead, it was the Phoenix Force that thought it was Jean. This is because comic writers are really concerned about having people not root for morally ambiguous characters. Which is exactly what happened with our number 3, Hal Jordan, who became Parallax. Before Parallax was retconned into being the impurity that causes the Green Lantern's vulnerability to yellow housed inside the central power battery, it was the name of the persona taken on by a crazed Hal Jordan. This was after the destruction of Coast City and the resulting deaths of many of his loved ones. This caused Hal to abuse the power of his ring. When the Guardians try to take his ring from him, he snaps. Hal goes insane, killing all of the Guardians except for Ganthet and a significant portion of the Green Lantern Corps, including his former mentor Sinestro, by, say it with me now, you've seen enough of these lists, snapping his neck. Hal Jordan proceeds to bogart the power rings and live a life outside of the superhero code. He is however swayed back to the side of good and dies throwing himself into the sun to reignite it during his redemption arc. Still, it was a pretty spectacular fall into villainy, but pretty much everybody he killed is alive again, so no harm done, I guess? Number 2, Adrian Veidt, aka Ozymandias, from The Watchmen. Veidt is probably one of the most dangerous types of transformations, because it happens slowly and without a clear catalyst. Well, at least before Watchmen it did. He is also firmly convinced what he is doing is right, and is capable of justifying all his actions. From murdering former peers, to giving employees and acquaintances cancer, kidnapping the world's greatest scientific minds, and finally murdering millions. Veidt's actions to prevent the destruction of the world by unifying mankind against a common enemy become even more tragic when the threat he was so concerned about, namely the Cold War, has for many of this rising generation nowhere near the same amount of importance. Since Veidt is arguably that universe's greatest hero, not only in terms of prowess but also philanthropic work, it makes this revelation all the more tragic, even if there's a twisted mindset where it makes sense. Still, he represents a truly insidious danger, the evil you don't see coming. And our number 1, the Plutonian. He was once the world's greatest hero, however all that changed after he one day snaps, destroying the city he used to protect, Sky City, and murdering millions. This character was introduced in Mark Waid's series Irredeemable. The series even opens with the Plutonian killing a former ally. His downfall is the whole focus of the series, and because of that it's honestly worth checking out. It's really interesting, and because it's not taking place in any main universe, it can really go places other comics can't. So those were 10 heroes who became villains. Are there any others you can think of who had an even more spectacular downfall? Do you need more Tales of the Fallen? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm Sasha Wood, thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you never miss another nerdy list. See you guys.